Hello, my name is William Campillo Terrazas. I am currently pursuing a master's in public health with a focus in epidemiology from the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences. My presentation today will focus on organic and local foods. So the presentation will consist of four main points. The first will be to kind of give background on organic foods as far as history, regulations, and then addressing some benefits. Then we're gonna move on to local foods and such things as well. And then we're gonna move to the opposition of organic and local foods. And then we're gonna end with the takeaways of the presentation itself. So in 1990, the US Congress passed what is known as the Organic Food and Production Act, or the OFPA. This act defined organic food as an ecological production management system that promotes and enhances biodiversity, biological cycles, and soil biological activity. The act itself had three main goals, which were to provide standards for marketing organically produced products, to assure consumers that organic products met a consistent standard, and to facilitate interstate commerce. As part of the act, the National Organic Program was created. Its role was to create a standards and regulations as it relates to organic foods. So this included things such as production, processing, and handling of organic products. The program also supervised the certification process of farms who wanted to produce organic products. In order to supervise the program, what the National Organic Standards Board was created. The board's purpose was to make recommendations to the NOP about whether a substance should be allowed in organic production, and it also was there to assist a developing standard for organic production and to advise the Secretary of Agriculture. So what makes a product organic? So along with the NOP and the NOBS, the Act also created a list of substances that can and cannot be used in developing organic products. In 2002, this list consisted of 170 items. The slide here shows the criteria for allowed and prohibited substances, methods, and ingredients. The list basically boils down to substances or ingredients that are synthetic or non-synthetic. Synthetic referring to materials that are produced through a chemical process or process that makes that chemically alters a naturally occurring substance. So some examples of prohibited substances in organic crop production include arsenic, lead salts, and tobacco dust, things that we would not want in our food or crops. And examples of organic crop production substances that are allowed in organic crop production include basic alcohols and hydrogen peroxide. And so this list is quite long and basically goes on to describe other allowed and prohibited substances for organic livestock production and allowed and prohibited ingredients in such things as well. It is important to note now that there are synthetic products that are allowed in organic products as long as they don't contaminate crops, soils, or water. Examples of these include soap-based herbicides and types of water disinfectants. And even though with these regulations, the Secretary of Agriculture does mention that simply because a product is labeled as organic, it does not imply a superior, safer, or healthier product than a food that is not labeled organic. In the following slides, we're going to address some of the reasons as to why people choose to purchase organic foods over conventional foods. Some of these are pesticide, environmental friendliness, and nutrition. So one of the reasons why people say they switch to organic food is due to the claim that it contains less pesticide residue. So based on data from the USDA Pesticide Data Program, which started back in 1991 and has tested over 110 food supplies of pesticide residue, the data basically shows that pesticide residues were 3.2 times more likely to be found in conventional produce than in organic produce. So, however, this is not to say that organic foods do not contain pesticide residues. Of a sample in the data of samples that were integrated pest management or certified to have no detectable residues, there was 47% of pest residues in these samples. Parents in particular claim that they want to reduce the amount of pesticides in their children's food. So a study in 2002 by the National Institute of Environmental Health found that those kids who ate organic food had significantly lower exposure levels to organophosphate. This is a pesticide that affects the parasympathetic and other nervous systems and can cause anxiety, headache, confusion, and other neurological complications. However, it is important to note that the study was done on children from parents who were farm workers, and thus, there's not really an understanding of where the pesticide was coming from. It could have been from the parents bringing it home, or it's not unclear of whether it was from the food itself. As part of the OFPA, the act that was created, farmers are required to utilize certain methods of production in order to reduce environmental damage to soil, water, and produce. Some of these methods include crop rotation, which is when you'll plant one type of crop and then the next year you'll just change the crop. Tillage is another example, which kind of talks about the preparation of land for growing crops. Some examples of tillage are shoveling, picking, mat working, and raking. One of the studies found that fossil energy inputs in organic corn crops production were approximately 30% lower than in conventional corn crops, and that crop rotation helped organic farms reduce soil erosion, pest problems, and pesticide use. Another thing that was found in the study was that the recycling of livestock waste reduced pollution while benefiting organic agriculture. The chart in this slide demonstrates the result of the study that compare chemicals from conventional and organic foods that have health benefits. Some of the chemicals seen, such as the flavonoids and the phenolics, have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. So as you can see, based on the data, about half of the organic products have higher levels of such chemicals, and the other half have no difference at all. And so it's just important to note that it's kind of a luck of the draw whether a product will, if it's organic, will have any additional nutritional value. So as far as local foods are concerned, there was limited data on this research, but basically what I was able to find was that in 2008, Congress passed what is known as the Food Conservation and Energy Act. This act brought to light many aspects of local foods, and it determined that the distance that a product can be transported and still be considered a local or regionally produced agriculture food product is less than 400 miles. And so that kind of gave the base of what local food is defined as. And there's also an increase in government programs in supporting local foods and bringing them to schools and to larger markets. So studies have found that in expanding local food systems in a community can help increase employment and income within that local community. However, there's not enough data to determine whether local foods will improve diet or food security, for that matter. And the data also suggests that local food production can, but does not necessarily reduce energy or the use of greenhouse gases or use of greenhouse gases. In this slide, basically, we're going to discuss the oppositions and arguments against organic foods. Some officials believe that organic products may do more harm than they do good. The Undersecretary for Food Safety warned that organic products lack preservatives and thus making them vulnerable to bacteria and other parasites due to naturally occurring toxins that are produced in the process. The Institute for Food Technology stated that organic foods are at an increase for pathogen contamination, and that they're also they have a higher likelihood of being recalled. As far as cost, according to the Food Marketing Institute, on average, those that purchase organic food spend approximately $109 per week as compared to $87.80 for conventional shoppers. So it was approximately a $20 difference between both. And so basically, after all the data has been gathered, there's not much supporting evidence that conventional or organic foods are better. They have inconclusive results. And the data also kind of suggested that there is a preference based on each individual's and kind of what they want to believe. However, although there may not be a difference in organic or conventional foods, research does show that increasing the amounts of fruits and vegetables consumed can improve your overall health. Phytochemicals are bioactive nutrients found in plants, plant compounds, such as fruit and vegetable and grains, and they have been linked to reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Some evidence suggests that dietary antioxidants can reduce cancer risk, and the same study has even shown that cancer sites being twice as high for those with low fruit and vegetable intake compared to those with consumption of fruits and vegetables on a daily basis. And this is just one example. So at the end of the day, we're all busy people. We all have families, school, and other priorities. But taking into account how we eat and making a few changes can make such a big difference. You know, small steps like replacing candy with fruits, packing vegetables as snacks, and considering lighter options in restaurants can create a better overall health outcome. In this slide, you will see other tips for healthy eating, and they can also be found on the AFMC government website, which is the Medicare website. Also, additional resources on healthy eating habits can be found at choosemyplate.gov, and they provide information of what portions you should be eating for not only fruits and vegetables, but grains and proteins and other types of fats. In this slide, you will find the references that I have utilized for the presentation. And that concludes my presentation on organic and local foods. I hope that you have been able to gain some insight that you may have not had before on this subject matter. And basically understanding that although there is no better food alternative, having a better, choosing better foods can have a better outcome of your overall health. Thank you.